Now, first of all, ma'am, just to make you appreciate that all the programs that we run as Wood University are compliant as per the regulations of the Botswana Qualifications Authority. What happens for you to understand the process is that an institution cannot run a program that would not have been, first of all, registered and approved. Yes. What would have happened is that prior to running this program, we would have first of all submitted a documentation to the Botswana Qualifications Authority to say that we have developed this program and we have an intention of running it. So the BQA would have looked at our documentation and ascertained that the documentation meets the requirement of the economy, and also that we as an institution have the necessary resources as in staffing, as in other resources like the labs to run it. So once that stage passes, they give what you call an approval. Now, a program that is approved is legally, really and otherwise recognized now to run. And any student who is enrolled in that program is enrolled into a legally recognized qualification. Now, the law then said, okay, once it is approved and it has enrolled students, it should then run for at least 12 months. 12 months, then it becomes what? Due for what you call now accreditation. Accreditation is a process where they now come and say, yes, you have submitted documentation for accreditation. We want to check to see whether what you have written is actually true. So they will come here and they will do a lot of verification where they will interview staff, they will interview students, they will assess our resources, and the people who are doing this are actually experts in the field. The BQA will engage experts to actually go through the documentation and then come here and do verification visits, and then depending upon the assessment, they will then give a status of the program. So indeed, most of our programs became due for accreditation late 2014 and mid 2015, and we submitted all our documentation. Well, that is very important because we emphasized that issue during the press conference. All our documentation for program accreditation was duly submitted for those programs which were due. Actually, you also understand that. They were submitted starting July 2015, and that process has actually been ongoing in earnest. In terms of the BQA going through the documentation, doing verification visits, and it's a highly interactive process. It's not just a linear process. And they'll come, they'll talk to you. Sometimes they'll pick issues and say, okay, can you work on this? And indeed, there are some programs which they had then raised some recommendations. I mean, a case in point would be jewelry and management design. Perhaps you came across that one. You know, they would then have written a list of recommendations to say, can you work on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So that then the program can move to another stage. Now, what I should say is that of all the programs that we had submitted then, which were due, because that is very important, ma'am. It's very important because we have come across sentiments from the public that says, oh, such an old institution that has been running for 20 years, can you still be having unaccredited programs? Because that clearly then really makes you realize what people don't really understand perhaps what, because what we are talking about here, these are mainly homegrown programs that were developed and started offering in 2013 and 2014. So it has got nothing to do with the 20-year existence of the university, because during the past we were offering other franchisee programs with our partners. So now, coming to this, then there were those recommendations. What I can assure you is that for every documentation that we submitted and every recommendation that we received from the BQA, we actually would work immediately to work on the recommendations. We have since all those programs, that one is a case in point, which we really would want to actually take you through, is that each and every recommendation that was raised for that particular program has been addressed adequately. And the documentation has since been returned to the BQA. For further assessment, and so the process is ongoing, and we are very confident that again we will be compliant. What you may wish to note is that currently we do not have any single program for which documentation has been submitted to the BQA that received a rejection status. And that is very, very important, you see, because then what that means is that there is no learner of Butu University who can be termed in course at risk. You get my point? Right. But if you want us to, we can take you through some of those specifics. Because
is it the same one which you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to run you through quickly, and Mr. Ravi will also help. First, there was an issue of delinking the Mr. Ravi, maybe.
Basically, what happened is that earlier the structure for programs was done in such a way that what we call a highway model, that is allowing people to carry on with their credits and progress further. As a country, not many of them will be bestowed with the wealth in order to continue the program in one full stretch. Okay, if they're not government sponsored, they're self-sponsored, they're sponsoring themselves. So this is what internationally is called accumulation of credits. So we had exit levels for this program at various stages, which is diploma, professional diploma, and degree. Okay, and we had submitted the program like that, which has been approved by BQA to run the same way by the reviewer. But now with the change of the structures, what's happening, the new reviewer said you have to de-link the program. That is, you should have the diploma separately, you should have the professional diploma separately, you have the jewelry management separately, bachelor's degree. Okay, that's the first point. Okay, we have done it accordingly, documentation accordingly, de-linking the program and submitted it down. Okay. The second one, if you say, it says review program structure to increase jewelry design modules to about 50%. That is, when they looked into the program content, the new reviewer who had come for accreditation, okay, he said, okay, we like the way whatever you have been doing, but we'll be more than happy if you can add more content, okay, on jewelry management design into it, which we have also agreed on, added more content, and we have handed it over down to them in order to do it. The third one is a business research module, should be a core module and not one elective, to ensure that every candidate is exposed to research. Normally, if you go to any institution, you know that there will be certain core modules, certain elective modules. We had this as an elective module, which has been approved, but now the accreditor, the person who had come for reviewing for accreditation, felt the other way around. He said it's very, very important that the students take it as a core module instead of an elective one. We said fine. So we have also made that particular changes and we have handed it over down to them. The fourth one is the module project should be done before professional practice to give the candidate ample time to acquire all the design and management skills he or she needs before venturing into the real world. Okay. Professional practice is a thing where it is more like an internship where we attach them outside. And they are saying the module, the project module, right, has to be done before they go down to it. We felt it would have been better for the student if he had first gone out, done something outside, okay, done an attachment, come back, and then do a project wherein he will be able to incorporate the experience what he have got in a business world also before doing it. However, the reviewer felt the other way around. As you can see, all these things is moving of modules. Which was here, please move there, which was there, please move here. So we also agreed down to the reviewer's comments. Okay, and we have submitted, made those changes. Then it had a recruit one full-time teaching member of staff to meet the minimum requirements of 6 staff members per department. We have recruited 2 more instead of 1. Okay, so that also we have submitted those relevant documentations. And as you know, recruitment is also a continuous process. Okay, as we keep growing, we will also be doing more. I'm not saying that we'll be stopping with the 2, but there will be more also which will be happening. The next one is very, very important for you. Provide for a design studio to support conceptualization phase of the jewelry design process. This I would like to take you through, because it is not good for me when you're in the campus to say, oh, we have done it. Okay, I'll take you, you can go and see, because we have done the design studio which they have required, okay, as part of the thing. Earlier we had a different first studio to start with, but when the reviewer said, we have to do one thing, for the design we should have a separate studio, is what they said. So we have de-linked it, we have a separate design studio also. Totally we've got 3 labs down for jewelry management and design, and I would wish to take you down there, okay, when we go there. And one thing, I will leave you down with the experts there, okay, who will speak about it, okay, rather than me talking about it.
I can take this one.
Okay.
The other one, they said recommend a revised student allowance for students on this program to enable them to acquire a specific technical special equipment. In other words, they will say the program requires certain technical equipment. So can you recommend to the sponsor that the allowance be reviewed? We have taken the matter up with the sponsor, and the sponsor, of course, is still looking into it. But it's a matter that we immediately took up with the sponsor on that one. And then the other one, they are saying avoid having diploma, professional diploma. This is still the same, really, as linked to the delinking.
Which we have done.
Okay, which we have done. Assist current professional diploma students to extend their sponsorship contract to enable them to obtain a degree. Now, there are actually 33, around 33 or so students who enrolled for the professional diploma in jewelry management and design. So the recommendation was saying, can you help them that when they complete this professional diploma, they will progress to degree? Now, if you look at the tone of this recommendation, you realize, really, there is no life or death issue here, like Mr. Rafi was saying. Can you move this module from here to there? Can you, okay, we realize these students are sponsored for a diploma, professional diploma. Can you recommend to the powers that be that they can move to a degree? And I'm sure, I mean, you also push, if you're in their position, you cannot then even use such a criteria to say, I reject a program. Because you are simply saying, they were sponsored for a professional diploma, can they be assisted to go to a degree when they complete? This we had actually long taken up even before the reviewers came, just to try and help our students that they should actually go to a degree level. And the sponsor came back to us and said, look, every year we set out a criteria for progression sponsorship based upon certain needs. And jewelry management design is not one of them. But we shall continue to look at the list on a yearly basis. So you can see really that in terms of this, we have met these requirements 101%. And not only this, now there were also other programs that were in a similar nature. All recommendations have been addressed and all documentation submitted back to the BQA.
So basically what happens is, like you would have explained to you about the deferred and all this. Some of these things, the reviewer might feel that it will take such a longer time in order to do it. Provisional accreditation is a status where they say if it takes a period of 6 months' time within which you are supposed to address the concerns and give it to them. For a deferred, they're giving you 12 months' time to address the thing and come back to them. Okay. It is only the duration which denotes what it is. Number two, they have got 10 criteria which they're looking for accreditation. It's also the how many criteria have you fulfilled and how many of them where they have recommended. Most of these things, if you look at it, quality is a journey. It's a continuous process. Okay. We all know how voice had been there, how we are also improving now online, all those stuff, right? Similarly, in this quality, when people come in, everyone wants to improve on what it has already been there. And now they say, please use this, let's move it forward. Okay? So all these things are what you call a continuous assessment structures to improve the quality of the program. Accreditation is nothing but that's what it is. Okay? And we try to make sure that we follow that one as per what the regulatory requirements are and submitted the document.
Okay. But from what you just said, you do say there was some kind of communication breakdown between the school management and the student representative body.
No, we wouldn't say so, because you should also realize that the journey we've traveled is that at no given point in time was accreditation ever an issue, really, between us and our student body, even through the SRC. You see, the issue, you may be aware, and we said during the press conference, the issue started as a concern around book allowance, okay, and the apportionment of book allowance. And we really set to address that. We had a lot of meetings to address that. It was only towards the end of that part that then accreditation came in. It was really never an issue, so there was no cause to even think that there was any issue. Because when these reviewers also do come, they would engage some of the selected students who interview them to talk to them, and they were giving us also very good feedback.
And we have advisory council where the SRC are given a position to be there. Okay, and they have been sitting in that council for more than 2-3 years. And we have been sharing all these data down there also. So it has never been an issue at that period of time. Now currently it has been raised and we have shared all the information, what was possible from our end down with them in order to clarify. As you will rightly also appreciate that the whole country is now being educated on all these structures. Because as a country, we have never gone to this depth of trying to understand what is a provisional, what's the deferred, what's the rejected, what's full accreditation, what's an approval process. Right? And this is the first time the country is being educated on the process and the structures. Okay, and hence that learning challenges will always be there, mainly because while you are learning, there will be a lot of queries which is normally addressed. And because these queries determine the life of an individual, there's a lot of anxiety which comes along with it, a lot of emotion, okay, which needs to be addressed. And you know, young people are always very emotional when you are a young person. Can I quickly take you down to the labs?
Yeah,
For you to show that one? Okay,
Yeah,
let's
you're
quickly
right.
see that.
Thank you.